How are you, Raiders family? It's Berkey here. Happy Easter, everyone, and welcome to my preview of the round 4 game versus the Titans tonight at Jubilee. It's probably good for us that it's not at the Gold Coast, even though I was ready to go, as were a number of Raiders fans. The Titans this year are probably a 6 to 10 point better side at home than they would be travelling on the road. So from that selfish perspective, even though it would have been great to go tonight to the game, I'm really happy it just takes off that home ground advantage the Titans certainly would have had. So I hope you had a fantastic Easter, everyone. Looking forward to the game tonight. Look, let's dive into the Titans. They are very much a much improved side this year. They've purchased really well, particularly in the forwards with Tino, Fafita, Herman Sao, I don't think has played a game yet. So they've really added some quality starts to their pack, which obviously improves their depth, which improves the players of a quality perspective they've got available. So they're going to be a tough nut to crack. They do have weaknesses, though. They're still sort of that bottom of the 8th, 9th sort of area at the moment in some key positions. But they're certainly going to be very tough to crack tonight. But we need to stick to our processes, not worry about them, play at our level and don't come down to their level. So number 2, I've gone for David Fafita. He's going to be a real danger to our right edge, particularly George, Seb, and Hudson Young. So we've really got to muscle up on him. What the Titans do very well with Fafita, they play very close to him at the line. So Jamal Fogarty will go very into the line, hit Fafita really close and try and isolate probably George Williams, just like they did against Anthony Milford a few weeks ago, where Fafita made him look very silly. So that's going to be one of their real try-scoring strengths, trying to get Fafita close to the line one-on-one with George Williams. So we really have to muscle up, make them throw a long ball if they have to cut Fafita out. But we've really got to jam in on him and not have width when he gets the ball, because it's going to be very hard for George to handle a guy of that size one-on-one. George is a great defender, far better than Milford, but it's still a tough task to ask him to tackle 105, 110 kilo for the size of Fafita. Fafita's also one of those guys that fades in and out of games. So if we can push the Titans to attack to one side of the field on their right edge and not their left edge, once again, it's certainly going to help us with their try-scoring opportunities being dried up. Their right edge and attack is nowhere near as potent as the Fafita side. Number 3, I've gone for Tyrone Peachey. He's a solid player. He'll probably float around a lock 5'8" type of role, but he's very dangerous in broken play, Peachey. I don't think people give him enough compliments with his broken field running. He angles really well across field looking for a lazy marker, and that's where he really gets a lot of his yardage in behind the ball off a bounce ball pass or something of that nature. So we've really got to be on our mettle with him. He'll certainly sniff around that ruck area. As I said, trying to get a lazy defender. He'll straighten really well. He's got good leg speed. So once again, we just got to make sure we keep that defence nice and compact and straight line, particularly when Peachey does that cross-field run that he does so well. Number 4, I've gone for AJ Brimson. He's going to be sniffing around that ruck area as well. Similar to like a Roger last week, Brimson's going to be really sniffing around for an offload, particularly late in the half. 5 minutes, 10 minutes before halftime, he's really going to be looking for, once again, us being lazy in defence, being tired. That's where Brimson is at his most dangerous, in that central ruck area. He'll try and get half an offload from Fafita or Tino or someone of that nature with a half break. So we've got to be very, very on our mettle at that time before halftime to make sure we snuff out any opportunities that Brimson may be looking for. Let's dive into us, shall we? So number 5, I've gone grit, particularly the grit we showed last week. Yes, we never got the 2 points. That game, guys, will help us at the back end of the year. There is no two ways about it. The type of fortitude and heart and grit we showed is going to be brilliant towards, as I said, the back end. Particularly in close games, we're now going to be in a situation where we're going to have some close games towards the end of the year or in the next couple of weeks. We would have learnt a lot from that. Mentally, we would have learned an enormous amount of that, to know that even with 3 players down, the quality of the player the fight of the players we have is going to keep us in good stead. Number 6, I've gone for Hudson Young. Great to have him back this week. I felt last week he would have caused some real damage to the Warriors' edge if he was on the field, particularly with his beautiful back in against the ruck, running into gaps. So it's really great to have him back this week. I think he'll cause the Titans' edges a lot of worry today, particularly if we can get some good field position for him. Hodjo out of dummy half. Really enjoys going to Hudson Young's right edge in attack. So it just adds another dimension, a bit more depth to our attacking options today. Gives George some more space as well to either hit Hudson, out the back to Shans, a face ball to Seb. So Hudson just gives us, once again, plan A, plan B, plan C in attack, which is most important with the speed of the game today. Number 7, I've gone Hodjo. I thought he had a fantastic game last week. Interesting dynamic with Tom Starling, which I'll cover shortly. But Hodjo's really warmed, I think, back into being our maestro around the ruck. I'd like to see maybe hit George or Jack a little bit earlier in attack, really spread the ball a bit wider if we can. But I just think he's finding his feet. I think his kicking game tonight will be really important to keep the likes of Brimson and Anthony Don and those types of guys hemmed into the corner. That plan C with Hodjo's kicking game behind Jack and George is really critical to our chances. Number 8, I've got Shans. He was hurt and got belted pretty badly last week. I would like to see him spread his wings a little bit more in attack. We know he's great around the ruck, but I've said it before and I'll say it again. I really think he could be a lot more potent if he can get in behind George or get in behind Jack with a second man play and start hitting those wide edges in those 10-metre arcs. That's where Roger and Tedesco and Pappenhausen do some really solid work now, is in that 2 or 3 passes off the ruck is really where I want to see Shans start to exploit, use his confidence, use his step, and just give us some more options in attack. I think will just add volumes to the team. I've gone for Tom Starling at number 9. He's going to be really important tonight. There's some big Titans forwards. It might be a little bit slippery underfoot, but the way Starling can get those meters out of dummy half when he's on is going to be really, really important to our go forward and our momentum. So once again, it's great, I think, having Tom in there. Just gives us another dynamic. If we can keep Hodjo on the field, acting as a roving half lock forward type of role, it just gives Tom some really good oomph from dummy half to get those early and quick yards that we need around that play of the ball. As I said, particularly with the speed of the game today, Starling's input is so important. And number 10, I've gone the bench. We noticed last week, having 3 go down, how critical a solid bench is this year. We've got most of the gang back together. Unfortunately for Joe Tapane, he's not in for a couple of weeks, but to have Ryan James back in, to have Seb there, Dynamis is back in, Havili and Ryan Sutton are so important for us. Just gives us some consolidation. It gives us some consistency, which is most important with our bench rotations, and give these guys the chance to really have a massive impact tonight. Heaven help us with no injuries. That would be fantastic. But once again, that bench, that impact off the bench will really put us in good stead to rotate our forwards. Don't give them as much minutes as we did last week with Papa having 60 or 65, Havili 52. That's a lot to play when they haven't really trained for it during the off season. So Raiders, that's it for my preview for the top 10 guys. As always, I love your support. Hit me up on Facebook, on Twitter. Hook into the YouTube channel if you want to watch this episode or any old episodes, guys. I love your feedback. Thank you so much for your support, as always. Looking forward to the game at about 8 o'clock tonight. And as always, this is Bourkeys, Bleed Green, out.